So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth culinary careers session that we have as part of the Future Chef programme. My name's Kerry Mabley and I'm the Careers and Education Manager. I'm joined by my colleague Amanda McDade and my colleague Caitlin Clark as well. We are joined today by three fantastic chefs who I will let them introduce themselves to you in a moment. We're going to talk all around kitchen culture today, so getting you to understand what the nitty-gritty about what it's like to work as a chef and the opportunities that are available. So the way that this will work is I'm going to get the chefs to introduce themselves, but I'll then be talking to the chefs individually to find out a little bit more about them and their careers and what they can tell you about the industry as well. So I think we'll start with Sean. Sean, do you want to just introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, yep. My name's Sean Watling. I am the executive chef at the Berkeley Hotel, which is based in Knightsbridge, in Belgravia. I've been here 13 years. Before that, I've done Michelin star restaurants. I've done hotels. I worked abroad in the Lebanon as well. And I've been here since 2009.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sean. We should come back to you in just a moment. John, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's John Feeney. I am the Culinary Innovation Director for Europe and Africa for Griffiths Foods. It's a seasoning company. I'll talk more about that, but I've been a chef for 40 plus years, so 40 years young.
Got the coding of chef. Thank you very much, John. And last but certainly by no means least, David.
Surrounded by giants here. Good morning, everybody. My name is David Lilly. I'm the acting executive chef at Cameron House in Loch Lomond. I've been a chef now for 17 years, primarily working in 5-star resorts and Michelin star restaurants.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And we'll hear a little bit more from you later on, David. But I'm going to come back to you, Sean, if that's okay. And let's find out a little bit more. So you were talking about where you're working now and the kind of things that you've already done, and you touched upon things like Michelin starred restaurants. So just tell us a little bit more about your career to date.
Okay, so I'm actually from near Gatwick Airport down in Surrey. So I started, obviously, from school. I went straight into catering college. After catering college, I was working in restaurants and hotels all the time in that area down by Crawley and Gatwick. I started off there for my first year, and then I came to London because I knew that the busiest, the buzziest to further my career really was in London, and I started off just working down the road here, actually at 101 Knightsbridge here, and then I worked in Four Seasons. I worked in the Michelin star restaurant there. And then after that, I decided that I wanted to go classical. So I became a teacher, Cordon Bleu. So I taught in Cordon Bleu for a few years, and then came back into Michelin star restaurants, back into where I worked at Les Saveurs. And then I worked back in Four Seasons as a head chef. And then when that closed, I ended up working in Lebanon, in Beirut, for Intercontinental Hotels in the Phoenicia out there. Very, very big place. I had a lot of restaurants, dealt with a lot of people. And then while I was over there, the job at the Berkeley came up, and I got the job here at the Berkeley, which was back in 2009. So I've been here for 13 years. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, been good.
It's a very beautiful hotel as a Berkeley. I've been very lucky to go there, and you hosted our Future Chef dinner, which was fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that sounds great. I mean, have you ever had a mentor throughout your career? Has there been somebody that's really influenced you?
When I came to London, I knew that I wanted to work in a Michelin star restaurant, and I worked for a very young chef, a guy called Bruno Loubet, and I worked for him for about 3 or 4 years, and he was very guiding. He was a young guy that used to work for a chap called Raymond Blanc, and so I knew that the standard I was going to learn, the appreciation of the product that I was handling, I was going to get taught very well. And he was quite guiding in mentoring me and showing me what to do, and I grew very, very well with him there. Then when I eventually left him, I went to teach at Cordon Bleu, and that's where I learned to be more communicative and more patient, really, when I was teaching.
Yeah.
So he kind of guided me from there, going back into Michelin star restaurants from that point. And then when I went back to Four Seasons as the head chef eventually, the GM there was a mentor for me for a little while to get me from restaurant chef up to executive sous chef. And that chap was called John Stouse, and I had him mentor me through a little program that they were running there. So for my side of it, my experience of mentoring, I had a couple of big ones there, and it was more guidance and advice giving rather than telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Which is probably what I learned. I took out of that way of mentoring me.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's as you say, rather than the telling, it's the guiding to help you find your own way as well, which is great.
Yeah, it's much better that you kind of work it out yourself.
Yeah.
But they kind of prod you to provoke your thoughts in different ways. That's how I found it. Yeah.
And that's a good mentor.
Yeah.
And have you mentored anybody yourself, Sean?
Yeah, actually I have. I've had a few apprentices here that we've obviously gone through the program, mentored them, and then they've moved on. Or I've actually got currently a few here, and also the Mayborn group, they did do a mentoring program where I mentored a lady that was in sales actually. She was in sales. Just to talk and give an insight, a different view on how I could guide her really. She wasn't a manager or anything, she was supervisor level, and it was to get her up to the next stage. So
fantastic.
yeah, it was good. She's actually gone on to a different company but a higher position, so I think it was relevant. It was good. Yeah,
brilliant, really good stuff. And again, that cross looking at different people in the hotels, everybody has to work as one, so wherever that mentoring and that guidance comes from, your experience.
It is very valuable for people to have a mentor to actually guide and have an outside influence that you can tap on their thoughts really. It's a different set of eyes, and I appreciate what I learned. Even mentoring somebody, you kind of get an insight into their life. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's great for the guidance. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. So just moving on a little bit around the kitchen culture, because the industry still does have a really bad reputation, or a perceived bad reputation.
Yeah.
Hours, low pay, no opportunities. How would you address that and say that things have changed over the past few years?
Well, you can see from now really that there is a lot of choice out there. There is not and there is not a lot of people. So the way you have to approach it is that you have to be guiding, very much supportive. You cannot stand there and just yell at people. Nobody's going to learn yelling at anybody. Okay, at some point you got a crunch time. You need to be direct. You need to say it as it is, and there can not be a discussion. At some point, this is what needs to be done. I need you to do that, and there's no discussion on it. But you can't. The culture's changed completely over, I don't know, over the last 20 years. I would say it's been getting better and better and better for a chef. You have HR now that guide chefs and teaching people about people skills. It's all about reading people. You don't want to be treated in that way, so you wouldn't go and do that to other people. And I think that it's very much now a kitchen needs the team around. A chef needs the people behind him. I say it that these guys that are behind me are my days off. If they don't get it, they're not doing it. They're not here. I'm not going to get my time off. And we all need to have that point where you break away. So if you need to bring people up. You need people to go, actually, you know what? I'd like to go and work for that guy because he brought me on, and I'm telling you, go and work for him. He's a good guy. So that's very much the culture now, is that you need to be developing people, and you need to actually be in a supportive way. The culture can't be, it's long hours and the reward is poor. It's not. It's very, very encouraging what the travel that you can do, and there's a lot of benefits in this business. The life is good. My two other gentlemen here that we've got along are going to say exactly the same as mine, that your career can go in many paths. You know, it's definitely very rewarding and satisfying. That one is that people appreciate what you're doing, and the development of people and the teamwork and the camaraderie around it is very rewarding as well.
No, that's fantastic. And I was literally just going to go on to say, what does a good employer look like to you? But I think you've covered quite a lot.
It's you've got to support. I mean, as well, a good employer. I mean, even if a chef's level, the other gentleman would tell you that, you know, that you've got to have a good owner to invest in the people, to be alive to the situation of, like, I don't know, pay increases, investing in the tools for your job. You can't work with old broken down systems and stuff like this. You need to keep on reinvesting, and a good environment is a happy environment, you know. So I think a good employer is on that, and to give you training, to, you know, whether it's online, from online training to sending you off to courses or bringing in people to do workshops with you. A good employer is all about the whole experience of working.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so what kind of, you said you travelled over to Lebanon and you'd worked over there. What other benefits has the industry brought for you?
It's my life, really. I met my wife through this business. You know, so many chefs do, but, you know, you get to travel, you meet friends, you know, you work with them, you go on holiday, you meet them again, you get to travel the world, you get transfers within, you know, when I worked in Four Seasons, so many guys there that I were working with, the next 6 months later, one's in China, one's in America, the other one's in Australia. You get to move around, you get to travel, you get you know, a good reward, really, from that is the way that you can travel, the network of people that you get to meet are, you know, you got a great span. They're all over the world. You know, it is very, very rewarding in that, and the fact that you can have people that look up to you at the end of it all as well, that you supported them, you guided them through different paths of their life, you know. I can't speak highly enough of it, because I mean, I've been in it for a long time, and John will say the same, you know. It's your life. It supported me very well, and I got a happy family from it. So
that's fantastic to hear. That's really, really good. So finally, what advice would you give to a young person who is looking to enter the industry as a chef?
It's the fact is that you're going to learn a lot. You need to be able to take on advice. Have a good resolve. It's not you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. You get that in every job. Be open mind. You know, you don't know which way your career path is going to go. You know, you're always learning, so don't think you know everything. You know? You're always learning, and I think that you might start off thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to go and have my own Michelin star restaurant. Well, actually, you might think to yourself, you know what, the rewards on that and the keeping up with that might not be the way to go. You know, maybe a hotel chef is better, or maybe a contract catering is better. Maybe, you know, you want to work in the service sector, as, you know, working for contract caterers. It's a different path. There's so many ways that you can go. And you know, when I went to college, I knew I wanted to be a chef. Right when I was at school, I knew what I wanted to do. I haven't done anything else in my life. Nothing. I've cooked the whole way through. Okay. And when I went to college, I'd done the hotel management course, and I did do housekeeping. I'd done reception. I worked as a waiter part-time. You know, I've done a few parts of it at college like that, but I always knew I wanted to be a chef. And so that was all my goal. And I got there in the end, you know. I traveled around, bounced around. I mean, I've been in London a lot, but, you know, also, like, friends have said, listen, take some holiday. I worked in St. Kitts in the Caribbean for a little while to help a friend out. You know, I've been, as I said, I've been to the Lebanon, Scotland. I've been all over the place to help out people. You've got a skill.
Brilliant.
And people need that skill. You know, you have something that, you know, money can't buy it. You know, you learn that as you go along.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great advice. Thank you so much for that, Sean. And I'm sure if we've got any questions at the end, we'll come back to you on that as well. But thank you very much for those words of wisdom. Absolutely wonderful. So we're going to move over to you now, John, if that's all right. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your career path so far.
I became a chef because I love eating. I've got a nervous twitch. I go into the fridge all the time. And also my mum and dad couldn't cook. So I knew there was good food out there, and I needed to find it. What I love about this career, there's multiple opportunities in food. It's endless. And I've worked in restaurants, hotels, private dining, worked as a private chef, Royal Ascot, Formula One, QE2, chef lecturer in Switzerland, private yachts, catering all around the world. And now I work in a completely different sector, which is food science and development, and the importance of linking, which we always forget sometimes, is farms and the ocean.
Fantastic. So I mean, I've worked with you, so I can say he's a fantastic chef and a real great guide and mentor as well. So when I worked with you, it was obviously in the food service management sector, but today your job is quite a unique job. So do you just want to expand on that a little bit and explain to the young people out there what opportunities that has afforded you as well?
Yeah, so I work for a company called Griffiths Foods. It's family owned, it's fourth generation, and it's a development business, and it's creating food for retail, food service, QSR manufacturing, high profiles, chefs. And I was fortunate, I was headhunted for this job 20 years ago, and I was given the task to bring in kitchens around the world. At the time I started, there was only one kitchen in Chicago, which is head office. We now have probably about 25 kitchens around the world, a couple of food trucks. And so a typical day would be designing food concepts around flavor trends, profiles, linking in with inspiration and trends. And some of the subjects that we get into is sustainability, zero waste, health and nutrition, alternative protein, and the future. Next generation protein, cell-based protein. So yeah, even the last few days, it's very random, but I was in Chichester in the middle of the woods under a parachute cooking on summer eating 2023. So the job becomes every week is a school day or different learning. And like Sean mentioned, your education in food and your community of chefs and friends gets you through the next project, and mentors that you worked with. If you don't know something, you've got such a network, and the kids nowadays, they've got social media for inspiration, and if they don't know something, you Google it. So it's a great industry. Can't say enough good things about it. It's a pain as well. It definitely shapes your way of living, as Sean has already mentioned.
No, that's fantastic. And your job really does sound amazing. And I've been down to the kitchens where you do work, and the development kitchens, and it's absolutely fantastic. Was this something that you thought you might have ever got into, sort of the food development side?
I've always liked innovation. I've always liked creativity. I've always liked the challenge of pimping up the food and making it a little different, and making it, I mean, there's a lot of theatre tied to food, and making that occasion special for people, whether it's a wedding, restaurant meal, or whether it's a one-off show that you're doing online. And obviously chefs the last 2 years have had to be very adaptive to technology. It depends on the projects and the deadlines. Obviously, there's a lot of travel with this job, so you've got to be prepared to live out of a suitcase. Before COVID, I was probably 150 nights of the year traveling around the world. And I'm fortunate I've got a wife that loves the balance of me being at home and being away, you know. So that's good. And what I do love is the giving that this industry gives. I mean, you've got two other chaps on here where we love giving back. We're probably too generous. And that's why we're like ambassadors for Springboard. I'm a master chef of Great Britain, and I run an event called the Universal Cookery Food Fest. So we're always giving back. What do we get out of it? I don't know, maybe a pat on the back and a few extra drinks, you know.
Do you think those kind of things inspire, though, the next generation, John? Is that what it's about, getting young people to think about coming into the industry, or even those that are already in the industry, to get them to think about the new trends and that kind of thing? Is that why you give back?
I chose to take chefing as a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice. So it's my hobby, it's my life, it's my... Unfortunately, my wife gets a little bit hacked off when I go for Sunday lunch, and she says, "Where are we going?" And it's like 3 hours away. And, you know, only crazy people do that for a round trip of 6 hours, but that's how deep I'm into this job. And what I love about the community aspect of turning up to a restaurant, whether you know the chef or you get to know the chef, is fantastic. You know, it's like 5-star service.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But without the price tag.
You know a lot of chefs, absolutely. So yeah. Where's the most interesting or exciting place that you've worked, and why?
Where's the most interesting place? I mean, I've traveled around the world, and sometimes it's easier to mention where I haven't traveled. New Zealand and Iceland are still on my sort of must visit. Where's the most interesting places? Just before COVID, I was fortunate. I went down to a chili farm. So we use a lot of chilies. We are one of the biggest users of sage. So when you go to these farms and you experience what they do, and we take the middlemen out of the system. So we invest, and I'm fortunate. I'm with a family-owned business where they take responsibility to fair trade and communities and, you know, irrigation, and even the schools. They invest in the local schools. So that's why I'm still working at this company. So I go to India to pick the chilies, to work with the local chefs, to then see their recipes, to see how then they create these recipes. And this is all inspiration. I mean, then my customers, be it wherever they are in the world, they're like, "John, give me a Asian, Indian, Peruvian recipe." So we then take the learnings that we have. Sometimes chefs have many hats. We wear many hats. But with your community and with your network, you can get through to the next brief. Japan is one of my favorite cities in the world. You know, there's a lot of inspiration from Japanese food. And then I was fortunate, you know, I do stages around the world. And Noma is one of the best restaurants in the world. And there's many others in Copenhagen and Denmark. And I was fortunate enough to cook for the 50 top best chefs in the world. And it was very clever, because how do you cook for the 50 top best chefs in the world, and who's going to take the merits of that? So a guy called Paul Cunningham was very clever. He got together a little sort of market of ingredients, and then he turned around to all the guests. He said, "Right, you know, René, Pierre Kaufman and David Chang, right, you're leaders of the teams, get your teams. There's the food, let's cook together, and we'll serve around 2 o'clock. I thought that was genius. You know, it was fantastic.
Sounds like some amazing opportunities that you've had, that the industry, you know, being a chef has afforded you. That's absolutely incredible. I'm sure some of the young people might have a few more questions about that afterwards. But just before we move on to David, I'm going to ask you the same question as Sean. What kind of advice would you give to a young person who is looking to enter the industry?
That's a good question. I mean, one of the I've got to be honest with you. I'm not the most intelligent chef, be it academically. When I left school, I had to suddenly wake up to the understanding of business, English, writing, involving dyslexia. I mean, so don't make excuses about what you've got. See how you can then meet and the challenges of embracing some of these issues. So I learned the management side of business acumen at the end of the day, and how you return to your investors. Cooking is a life skill. So whether you stay in the business or not, it's going to be part of your life, and the eating and socializing around it. And the other thing is soft skills like empathy, respect, diversity and inclusion. Cultural understanding is one of the best things that I've learned. I love, people are different, but for me, that's still inspiration. It's learning, it's culture, it's trends of food. And then the other thing is invest in yourself, your well-being, look after yourself, and enjoy cooking. I cook for a living, but there's nothing better than going home and just cooking my favorite sometimes, whether it's beans on toast pimped up with curry sauce or doing a barbecue Sunday roast off the Kamado Joe. So yeah, it's a great business, and guys, step up and enjoy. And
That's
ladies,
some really great advice. Thank you, John. And especially, for seeing young people that may be worried about, not being academic enough to go into this. Actually, you can learn on the job, and I think that's what's really great. And there's lots of people that can support you out there. So thank you for those words of wisdom. That was fantastic. So I'm sure we'll come back to you at the end as well. So David, I'm just going to move over to you last, but certainly by no means least. So it's really great to have you on here today as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your career journey just to start with?
I would say my career journey has been quite a colourful one. I started in the industry about 17 years ago. I was at school. My head was going in all different directions in terms of what career path I wanted to take. I was very fortunate to have some great teachers who kind of set me up on the path of entering the hospitality industry. I was a kitchen porter to start off with, so I started on the dishes, and very soon was coerced onto a section, should we say. And then I just I gained that buzz from it, and it was the fix I needed. It was the adrenaline rush that it gave me. It was the excitement to be able to create these amazing dishes or take part in a service. And I think it just catapulted me to the rest of my career. I've been really fortunate to work in some of Scotland's best establishments. Sort of being the pinnacle now in my current role at Cameron House in Loch Lomond. But I would say it's been highly rewarding, incredibly challenging. I think you really need to take a very dynamic approach to catering now, and certainly hospitality. But that would probably be the best start I've had just now.
Stuff. That's fantastic. So you talked about sort of applying yourself and being dynamic, but have you had any mentors that have helped to support you throughout your career?
I would say 100%. I've had amazing mentors. The three off the top of my head right now would be David Littlewood, who really honed my skill set as a chef and gave me the sort of finishing and the final touches that I needed to sort of progress into the next stages. I was very fortunate to work in a Michelin star restaurant in Fife, the Pete Inn. Geoffrey Smedle, the chef proprietor there, was a massive impact in my vision and aspirations in life. And then obviously now coming to Cameron House, our executive chef we had was Zoltan Szabo, and Zoltan kind of opened my eyes again to an even larger world. So these have been the three sort of giants in my lifetime that have really they've driven me forward.
Fantastic, and really great to hear, and great that you're remembering those people as well, because as the other two chefs have mentioned, people do have an impact on your life and do shape sort of your careers as well, which is fantastic. So I know that you have mentored before, so do you just want to talk us through a little bit about the mentoring that you've done through the Future Chef programme?
Yeah, this was a first for me on something that was of this scale. I mentored a young girl called Sophie Pope. She was at school. She was really interested in cooking, and it was like a harmony. I couldn't have asked for a better participant. We would come into the kitchen. We would create our dishes. We would just have fun, in the first couple of sessions, and then we'd really kind of screw our heads together and really come up with something that we were going to really compete with and drive it forward. There was a lot of challenges with that. Obviously, we were still kind of in and out of COVID. Scotland was in one area and England was in a different area with COVID. So there was a lot of adjustments in terms of travel restrictions and bits and pieces. But overall, we managed to get to the final. We had a fantastic dinner at the Barclay the night before. Sean and his team cooked for us, was absolutely outstanding. And the journey, it wasn't for us that year. We put everything we had into it. But what I would say is that when we finished that day, that there was no winners and losers. Everyone was, the atmosphere, the camaraderie, the advice, just from all the mentor chefs and from the students that competed that day, and just the buzz of the feel for it. It was highly rewarding. It was an absolute privilege to take part in.
Well, that's fantastic, and we can't run the Future Chef programme without chefs like yourselves coming in and supporting those young people. And you're absolutely right; it was one of the best finals that we've been to, and the standard there. I was in the judges' room. I'm not going to reveal any scores, but I can tell you how close it was, and was a very, very difficult decision for the chefs on that day. I had to step back at one point. I was like, I'm not getting involved. So it's really, really great to have mentors like yourself, David, helping to support that next generation of young people coming through. So again, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the kitchen culture. So we have heard that is changing. There's a little bit of a better work-life balance and things. What kind of training support, mental health support, that kind of thing, do you give at Cameron House for the people that you're working with?
I think as a chef leader, I'm incredibly fortunate. We have an amazing HR team here. Our director of HR, Jennifer, is such an inspiration to work alongside, and she's really got her finger on the button when it comes to terms of delivering the right culture and how to get people's buy-in to that culture, because that's a massive thing. It's great to have a plan and an idea, but you need the team to buy into it. You need everyone to get behind you and get behind that vision. I would say from my upbringing in kitchens to where I'm at now, I would say that it's definitely changed. We're in a different position now when it comes to aspects of recruitment, to actually bring people into the industry. We're facing a shortage right now. So we need to be a bit more dynamic in terms of, make sure we offer that work-life balance. And if we say we're going to do something, we do that. We reward for people working hard. We pay fairly. We do things, I'm sure it's not unique to Cameron House, but we do things here that we reward our staff on a monthly basis, whether if it's their birthday or if it's a special occasion or a long service award, or it's just we want to get everyone together and have a barbecue and do something as a clan. The culture is definitely changing. I think it's changing for the best. I think the days of overworked, underpaid, undervalued, are on the by-go just now. Chefing's becoming a trend, I think. It's definitely something that's more televised now. It's more publicly accessible. Instagram's a fantastic tool to see what chefs are doing all around the world, and not just in the country you're in. I would say it's I feel very privileged anyway to be part of this industry.
That's really, really great to hear. So in terms of what you offer at Cameron House and what a good employer looks like, what are the training and development opportunities that young people could get involved with?
So across all departments in the hotel, but primarily currently we have an apprenticeship scheme. So we work with various different people in the industry to come and really support the next generation of chefs. Currently just now we have 6 apprentices with us, working in various different departments. Some are with our pastry team, some are with our main restaurant team, and some are in our sort of banqueting sector. And we do rotation, so they get to see every aspect of the business. We also have a graduate manager program as well, and part of that management progress is they will do 6 months in each department. So they will come into the kitchen, they will see the behind the scenes, they'll see from front facing the guest to the actual delivery of that service. And these programs have been highly rewarding for us. We've came across some real gems, people who perhaps didn't think that it was maybe going to be something for them, or it was something that just got involved with, but then they've grew and they've had that passion. There's something truly rewarding to see when someone comes in and their eyes are opened and they're like, oh my God, I really enjoy this, I want more. Those are just a few of the things that we do.
And I think you do get that buzz and you do get that bug when you've worked in a kitchen. And you know, you mentioned starting out as a kitchen porter, and that's where I started out as well. And I think it's a great way to be observing the chefs, to seeing what's going on in the kitchen, being part of it. You know, so starting, you know, at the bottom rung and then working your way up and branching out wherever you want to go. And you've given some really good messages there, David, so thank you. So my final question to you would be, what advice would you give to a young person that's looking to enter the industry as a chef?
I think that the most crucial bit of advice I could give right now would be do your research. If you want to go into the industry and you truly want to, you know, be part of the many different sectors of hospitality, but if you want to start out, you want to become a chef, is find a great mentor, find someone who's willing to invest in you, who will give you the time that you need to get you to where you need to be. We live in a fantastic day and age of social media just now. You know, everybody's got an Instagram account nowadays. You can see what people are doing and find what's right for you. You know, a lot of people will have an idea of, I want to be a chef, but you know, I'm not sure what kind of food I want to do, or what kind of industry, what part of the industry I want to work within. Checking out social media, checking out restaurant websites, you know, getting yourself immersed in that sort of culture, and then creating your own path. There's nothing more rewarding than, you know, setting targets and goals for yourself and succeeding and progressing in that. But it's so important to find that person that will give you the time to really hone your skills and catapult your career.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, David. That was some really, really great advice and some great stories. So really appreciate that. So I'm just going to hand over now to the schools. Does anybody have any questions? If you just want to put those in the chat, that would be fab. And just while we're waiting for any to come through, again, thank you, chefs. You've each given your own individual views, but there's also a lot of similarities across what you've been saying as well, which is really great to hear. Is there anything that you want to add just while we're waiting for any of the schools to come through?
I think that David gave a good insight there about the research. When you're a young chef, have a look at the good places, you know, go through the guides, see the good places where you have a good background, the pastoral care that you probably get from the being in that environment is very important for you in terms of your growth and your happiness. And I think that David said a really good thing there.
No, absolutely. I'm not sure if we have got any questions today. Everybody's very quiet.
What was good was what David mentioned about his relationship was with Jennifer in HR. I've never heard, well, you don't hear that much with chefs, yeah. But it just shows there has to be mutual respect. And when you're involved in other departments such as HR, you can only grow your team better. So it's really humbling to hear that, and it's the right way.
Absolutely. So getting all the departments working together and not just in silo, which I think is, you know, is where some of the perceptions of the industry come from, is that the kitchen does what it wants to do and that's it. But actually all working together as one collective. I can honestly say, hand on heart, I've never felt that. I've loved working with chefs throughout my career. And I would recommend anybody, even if you're not thinking about wholly becoming a chef, to actually go and work in the kitchen. So really great, David, that the programme that you're running encourages those that are going, you know, to come and do a 6 months because I don't think that I would be where I am now without starting in a kitchen and working with the chefs as well, because you have to see what's going on behind the scenes as well as front of house as well. So I would highly recommend work experience and a career as a chef, without a doubt.
One of the things that I say to young chefs, or to people who are looking to come into the industry, and it is something about Cameron House as well. It is a privilege to be in this role, to be a chef, to cook food. Everybody has been out to a restaurant or have been to somewhere and they've had a fantastic meal and they've left, with such a great feeling, whether that's, a great local takeaway, or if it's, a restaurant in a hotel or whatever it is. But imagine being on the receiving end of that, but imagine turning it around and be able to deliver that excitement and that enjoyment and pleasure to lots of people. That is a massive privilege that comes with the hospitality sector.
Fantastic. And obviously you take a lot of pride in what you do, David, and I know that you do, Sean. We've experienced it at the Barclay, and obviously with working through you, John, and seeing what you're actually doing in your business as well. There's a lot of pride when it comes to cooking, and as you say, a privilege, David, to be able to make those people happy through food, which is great, and to have a great experience. I don't think we have any questions today. I do think a couple of the schools have actually just dropped off at the moment. Amanda, I don't know if there's anything that you would like to add before we leave.
No, I think it's been a fantastic session. Thank you so much, chefs, for coming on and sharing your experience and just being able to inspire the next generation to consider chefing as a career. And just to say to the schools out there, if you have any questions, if you are sitting with pupils who want to come into the industry and you're not sure about what the next steps are, please get in touch with Springboard. We'll be able to support and guide you in your next steps and give you information on apprenticeships and entry routes, and hook you up with some of these great chefs who'll be able to inspire you even further and take you into their business should they have any opportunities. So please do get in touch. We're really excited about your next steps, and we want to see some of you young people sitting on these sessions in years to come, inspiring the next generation as well. So thank you so much for your time, chefs, and thank you, Kerry, for leading the discussion. It's been fantastic.
You're very welcome, Sean, John, and David. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and we will catch up with everybody soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
have a good day.